Hey guys, what's up? My name is Just Check, and just like the last one, I have another video to watch alongside you guys and tell you if this is true or false. The video name is 7 Weird Rules on Cruise Ships and Why They Exist. As some of you know already, I used to work over cruise ships for about 10 years as photographer and cruise stage staff. So let's see how this goes.
Don't ask the captain to shake your hand, and if you're too young, you might be blocked from cruising.
Okay, straight out, don't ask the captain to shake your hand is a complete bullshit. Wow, I did not think this will start that way. Yeah, captain's thing on cruise ships is to mingle with guests in a way, like they're one of their main things. And if you're a photographer, you have the captain's night several times a cruise where that's what it is. Like they meet and greet the guests. They shake your hands. This is very wrong. About being blocked by cruising for being too young, I don't know what they mean. I think that you'll go into like more of the explanation, but that was wow.
Talking about the 7 weird rules on cruise ships and why they exist.
Well, ahoy there, cruisers! Before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Coming up, we've got 7 weird rules you'll find on a cruise ship and why they exist. Let's get started with rule number 1.
So number 1, don't be offended by this first rule. If the captain or crew member does not oblige, you are not allowed to shake hands with the captain or crew members. Now, this might seem obvious in the COVID era, but this rule actually dates back to 2015. Back in 2015, a few cruise lines added a rule that passengers are not allowed to shake.
Okay, so this was, well, I basically stopped working a couple of years after that. The only reason I can see this being a thing is because of stomach bug, or like but spreading the viruses and stuff like that. So usually the truth is, onboard ships, we are encouraged to bump fists or elbows, like amongst the crew itself. But shaking hands is not allowed. But let's see what he says. Maybe it's because of viruses and whatnot.
Hands with the crew members and captains due to the possible spreading of unwanted and dangerous viruses. So this makes perfect sense now. Not every cruise line has this rule, but it's something to keep in mind if you put your hand out and are refused. This rule exists to keep you and the crew members safe.
By the way.
The next rule is all about age, so we know you need to be over 18 or 21 to drink alcohol depending where you are.
That is true.
But did you know with some cruise lines, if you're not old enough, you might not be allowed to cruise at all? Yes, even if you're in your 30s or 40s, some cruise lines will not allow you to sail with them. Some vacations are intended solely for adults,
I did not
even
know
older
about
ones.
this.
For example, Saga Cruises, you have to be over the age of 50 to travel with them.
Oh, wow.
Windstar Cruises does not permit children under the age of 8 to board its ships, and any guest under the age of 21 must be accompanied by a guest who is 25 years or older. Virgin Voyages are an adult-only cruise line too.
Okay, I know
not
about
allowing
Virgin
children
now.
at all. This rule exists as some people don't want to travel on cruises with kids and families. They want relaxation away from the noise and the sight of kids.
Okay, so this rule does not apply for where I used to work. I used to work on Celebrity Cruise Line and the Royal Caribbean. Celebrity by itself, you don't really see a lot of kids, but since this is part of Royal Caribbean anyways, both of these companies have something called Kids Club, where you have it's like a kindergarten on board, where a couple of crew members take care of kids and entertain them and whatnot. Especially, it's very popular on Royal Caribbean. When you work on Celebrity, chances are these guys don't have anything to do, or they take care of 1 or 2 kids on a ship that has thousands of people on board. When it comes to elder people and not wanting to be seeing running kids around or whatnot, Royal has a very specific thing where they have adult only areas, like solarium for example, where there's a pool and sauna and whatnot where only adults are allowed. So that's how they deal with that. But yeah, all of the companies I worked on and all the ships I worked on, yeah, kids were allowed. So but I know about Virgin, but that's kind of a new thing last couple of years, where the Virgin cruises are only in America and they do only adults cruise. So yeah. There are specific cruises, like we had some themed cruises with like sort of sexual theme, where kids were not allowed. When I think about it, yeah, that happens as well. And then you have an option to either opt out from that cruise, so the company will pay you for an apartment for a week or however long the cruise is, or you can stay for like extra pay. Very interesting, I guess. Okay, rule number 3.
Number 3. This one involves food and drink. You are not allowed to take any food from the ship into port. You might be used to taking a piece of fruit, a muffin, or some other snack for later when staying in a land-based hotel, grabbing it from the buffet or from the restaurant. Now, this is perfectly acceptable on land, but it is not allowed on cruise ships. If you are about to...
Let me try and guess before they explain. It's very true, especially certain regions. If you're in Australia, for example, or New Zealand, they're gonna have like these little beautiful beagles or, you know, other dogs that will sniff things, and if they find food, they will not be in trouble or anything. They will just tell you that you are not allowed to bring it out. This is very common thing around cruise ships, because you might bring certain I don't know, animals or insects or whatever with you, and that can cause a problem for the country's ecosystem or whatever. So it's better to prevent, I guess, than, you know, crap. But it's nothing really serious. Taking the stuff out from the ship, as in like food and stuff like that, the cruise ship does not have any issues with this usually. It's just like the, you know, the government of the place where you are, they don't want any of that around. Yeah, bringing stuff on board though, I mean, you're allowed to bring stuff on board, but they will, there are cases where they will like take that and put it into storage, and then once you're done with the cruise, they might give it back to you, like drinks, or I don't know, like we had situations with like longboards and whatnot. When it comes to drinks and food, I mean, it's very simple. They want you to buy things on board.
Exit the ship to explore a nearby port. Taking food with you is strictly prohibited. This isn't because a ship is stingy on food or doesn't want you to take it off. It's because of the local agricultural laws in every country, and they're usually actively enforced. You could introduce some type of bacteria or bugs from fruits and vegetables into other countries, which could cause havocs on local farms and produce. Sneaking food on or off the ship can lead to a big fine or even trouble with the law. Honestly, we have seen such big scenes in port over a single banana. They really take this seriously. Pre-packaged foods such as chocolate bars and bags of crisps or chips are usually fine to take off, so you're okay with them.
So this is usually, I worked as a photographer many years on many ships, and which means that whenever guests are coming out of the ship, they go through security checks, and then we are the next one in line. So we are usually good friends with security and whatnot. We see what happens there, and I'll be honest, I think this is a little bit over exaggerated. There are guests who come out with fruits and such because it just makes sense, right? You just want to bring a fruit as a snack, and I mean, it makes sense. And then the port authorities will tell you, oh, you cannot bring this out. Most of the people just leave it, and they're like, oh, sorry, that's okay, and they keep going. But if you make a scene, like if you are bringing stuff out and they're like, you can't bring it out, and then they're like, well, and you are like, oh, but I want to, I paid for the cruise, you know, this happens, then you might have an issue. But I'll tell you right now, like most of the times, I guess 9 out of 10 is just it's not a big deal, because a lot of people don't know about this, and it's okay. The cruise company and security and port authorities are used to it. It's like you have to leave that on board. Usually they have like a bucket or something where they just put things there, and that's it, you know. Usually not a big deal, really. Number 4, let's see.
Number 4. Did you know that some cruise lines have strict policies against wearing hats and flip-flops?
True.
Whilst these are fine to wear outside, they're not allowed in restaurants and dining venues of some cruise lines. And we agree with this rule. Some cruise lines won't even allow jeans in the main dining rooms, as they are seen as too casual, especially cruise lines like Disney, Cunard, and most of the luxury cruise lines. The general rule is bare feet, tank tops, baseball caps, bathing suits, shorts and jeans are not allowed in the main dining rooms or whilst eating in specialty restaurants.
Very true.
When inside, shirts and shoes are required at all times, so no bare feet, and guys, put a top on. And it's not just whilst on the cruise. Some ports have dress codes too. You'll want to avoid packing camouflage clothing, especially whilst in the Caribbean. Countries such as Barbados, Jamaica and St. Lucia reserve the print for the military, so it'll be frowned upon. Some countries, especially in the Middle East, require longer trousers instead of shorts, and require arms to be covered. It's always worthwhile checking before you leave, so you're respectful and don't offend the locals by breaking the rules. These rules exist to make everybody comfortable and keep things as respectful as possible.
Okay, so I've been around Caribbean. I've never seen anyone have a problem with having a camo shirt or bag or something like that. I don't think that's true. Well, they said it would be frowned upon. So, I mean, I don't think anyone would tell you not to or like change a shirt or whatever. About Middle East, what they said, I don't know. I haven't been in that region. I did travel a lot with cruise ships, but that unfortunately was not an area that I covered. Somewhat makes sense, but if I'm being honest, most of these areas where cruise ships go are regions that live off of tourism anyways, except if it's like a bigger city, like, I don't know. Well, anyways, you understand what I'm saying. So if the city itself if you go to Istanbul, and I'm just taking this as an example, and they have a rule that you cannot be in the shorts, although I don't think that's a rule. Like, you might have a problem when you're going to, a temple or a church because you want to see it as as an architectural or whatever other reason, of your visit, and then they might not let you go in because of that. But just the port itself, I don't know about that. About the dress code, it's true, especially Cunard and Disney for sure. Like, they have their own set of rules. However, the companies that I worked on, especially like both Royal and Celebrity, they have a dress code, but it's not very strict. I've even seen the people come into the theater like straight from the pool in their bikini, still wet, which I never agreed with. It's really strange. Theater for me is a place where you kind of want to get dressed up. Casually, that's fine, but like, smart casual, or at least, however, when it's formal night, you're not allowed to get into dining room without your, formal etiquette, and you can rent it on board if you don't have it. I don't think it's anything expensive or anything like that. So yeah, that's really a thing on certain companies. I'm pretty sure companies that are more relaxed about this, like Norwegian or maybe Carnival, they probably don't have this set of rules. So this is why it's very important before you go to a cruise, you kind of pick and choose what's more to your liking, not only by the price, but also make sure you check these rules, because if you're on Cunard, you gotta look the part and whatnot. So yeah, they have that. It's crazy, but it's fair. I mean, it's high luxury cruising. Number 5.
Number 5. Now, this is a controversial one. It's all about tipping, unlike real life.
All right, tipping. Before we go in, as I worked as a crew, I'll tell you right now, on both companies I work on, tipping is not a thing because everything is paid by your CPass card. So basically, you credit to your card and then you use your card everywhere. The only places that actually receive tips is casino, because they work with real money, and bars sometimes get tips. Maybe some baristas, like in cafes like Starbucks or something like that, if you have it on board. But it's not very it's not a thing. Also, waiters, you can, or like that, I think that goes like you sign if you don't want to tip them or something like that. So that goes a percentage of your bill or account, whatever. As a photographer, I worked in the photo gallery as a photographer and photo gallery manager, so I've been in touch with a lot of people and buying photos and whatnot. I got many cards that they like the way I do things and that I enjoy the experience and whatnot. But I think in 7-8 years of working as a photographer, I got 3 tips tops, and that's it's just not the thing. It's just not the thing, basically. But let's see. There's no money. There's no cash on board that much, so that's the thing.
Where you tip waiters and bar staff every time you get a drink or leave a restaurant. Well, cruise is quite different. It's usually all automatic. There is no need to leave any cash tip behind or slip the waiter a cheeky dollar bill for better service. I mean, you can, but it's not necessary. The general rule is you just do nothing. I know it sounds a little bit wrong, but it's true. Each day you are automatically billed for gratuities for the wait staff, drinks, housekeeping, all the behind the scenes staff. So it's actually super simple. Some cruise lines are even doing away with tips and including them in the price of your cruise. What happens if you get bad service though? Sometimes it can be hard to remove your tips. Some cruise lines, such as Carnival Cruise Lines, don't even allow it. But please don't be stingy. The crew work long hours and are often at sea for 8-month stretches, sending the bulk of their cash wages back home to their family. The tipping rule exists to make things as easy as possible for you whilst on the cruise, so take advantage of it. Just don't do anything, just pay your tips right at the end. You are sorted.
Rule number 6.
All right, let's go over the tips just quickly. If you don't like the service, just sign not to tip someone. That's perfectly fine. I think that people just should deserve the tip in a way. If someone's rude to you or doesn't make you feel good or comfortable, I mean, that's part of their job. That's part of our job on board. Now, I'm talking about like more of like, you know, waiters and barmen or whatever, like not the photographers really don't. That's completely different thing. But yeah, if you tip people, I mean, take it this way. We get paid usually once or twice per month on board. And it's true, like most of it you just send account to account and then you think about like what you're gonna spend on your own. But if someone tips you at the end of the cruise, like if I get $20, I mean, I can go with a few of my, you know, friends and have a pizza or something like that outside without even thinking about it. So you can tip if you feel like it's not forbidden. But yeah, what they said is true. Most of the companies have it automatic and it's just part of your paycheck.
6 is about alcohol. Sneaking alcohol on board ships is prohibited.
Some
cruise lines do allow you to bring on a bottle of wine each, but others have a strict no carried on alcohol policy. Make sure you stick within these rules. Unlike other forms of travel such as hotel stays, you can't bring alcohol on board.
Alright, you can bring alcohol on board, I think on all the companies. But when you go through security check, as I've said, they will take it, put it aside, and then once you're done with your cruise, you'll get it back and you bring her. So no one's going to take it from you. This would be ridiculous the other way around, because people are, you know, people go to certain places to taste certain drinks. We visit crazy stuff like certain rum factories in Caribbean, or if you go to Europe and Croatia, of course you might want to buy wine and bring it back home, or you know, something like that. So it's definitely allowed. It has to be packed or whatever, and then they just put your name tag on it, and when you're leaving the ship, you will get that together with your luggage. And yeah, there's no issue. If by any chance it's not there, of course you just gotta say it and they'll find it and deal with it. Although I think that's very strict and they're very careful with, like, you know, guest stuff.
People try to get around these rules by filling up water bottles or hiding alcohol in shampoo bottles. And we've seen some bizarre methods. But if you get caught, you could be denied boarding. Once on board, if you want to drink your own bottle of wine in a restaurant or a public area, the cruise line will charge you a corkage fee. We've seen this as high as $25 per bottle just to drink your own bottle of wine. So it may be just as cheap to buy a bottle of wine while you're on board the ship. These alcohol rules exist so that people are not getting blind drunk in their cabins, which leads to antisocial behaviour. This is a moving vehicle, and the rules are there to keep you safe.
This is very not true. I'm sorry, but all of this is wrong. First of all, if you bring drinks on board, no one's going to deny you entrance to the ship. It's just not a thing. So they will take it. If you're trying to hide it in a shampoo bottle and they figure out, and trust me, they can figure out, you're just gonna take it away. You know, they're gonna deduct it from you and you're gonna be able to go back to the ships. That's just not a thing. If you cause trouble though, like if you start to fight or something like that, then maybe you get yourself off the ship or something. But just because you try to smuggle one drink on board, no one's gonna leave you behind for that. The other thing is, don't get fooled by this. They're not denying this so that you can't drink in your room, because guess what, you can drink in your room. You can order room service and you can get any drink you want on board. It's very simple, it's very straightforward. Cruise companies are making more money on drinks and alcohol, soft drinks and alcohol, than anything else. This is true for crew as well. Crew gets a discounted price on alcohol, but we still pay for everything. I personally don't drink, I never did, but yeah, if I want a can of Coke, I still have to pay for it. And you know, when you're on the open ocean like this, you pay for it. It's that simple. So yeah, very very simple. They want you to spend money on board and not outside, and that's why they are not allowing to bring alcohol on board.
Number 7. Finally, this is one of the most important rules. You may not be aware, but if you skip this rule, you could be thrown off the ship, as it's a legal requirement.
Yes.
The muster drill is a safety drill that takes place before every sailing. It's
okay. So muster drill, when you get on board, the first thing that happens before the ship sails away, you need to do the muster drill. We have to do it as well with you guys. It's very simple. We have to do it as the situation is happening, such as fire alarm. So this basically ship evacuation plan execution. The reason is simple. We had situations in the past where people did not know what to do, crew as well as guests, which is very very bad. So it has to be done, and before it's done, the ship is not allowed to leave the harbor. It's not allowed to leave the port. This is several years back, strict rule. There's no, because before, I think Costa Concordia was the last ship that did it, where we used to do it the way we would get out of the harbor, and then while ship is still like in the port and whatnot, after the sail away party, we would do it there, like while we're relatively close. However, what happened with Costa Concordia, with the newly embarked people, they didn't know what's happening, and this caused trouble. I think it was Costa. Don't I'm not 100% sure. Throughout my years of experience on board, I've had serious situations where we had to evacuate the ship, and I can tell you right now, like, no, the people being prepared for this, it saves lives. So it's very simple. Don't miss out on this. And I just want to say one more thing. This is not a ship company rule. It's the maritime law. You're just not allowed. And not only cruise ships, any ship has to conduct the safety drill before they leave. So just do it. It's once a trip for you and you're good to go.
It's much like the safety demonstration you see like on a plane,
yes,
where the flight attendants point out the exits. It's an exercise everyone must master in case of an emergency, so please don't miss this. Yes, we know they can be boring, especially if you've sailed 1,000 times,
yes,
but please
think about the crew.
Take notice and listen. Every
we do
cruise
it twice
ship
a week.
and every cruise line are different. It's so important, and one day it could save your life. The rule exists to protect you and others around you.
Very,
so
very
please,
true.
please spend the 10 minutes it takes.
You know what?
After COVID anyway.
The more you do it, it also makes it more relaxed, kind of, when the real stuff happens. And panic is the worst thing when we have a situation on board. So the more people are calm and have already seen what's happening, it helps a lot. Also, don't worry if you're like a new cruiser. The crew does this all the time. We have drill with you guys every time you get on board, and then we have a crew drill every couple of weeks in certain ports where we like lower the life rafts and lifeboats and whatnot. So keep in mind, you do it to feel the whole thing, because the whole ship does it before they get going. And then don't worry if you forget something, as long as you have your cards with you. You'll always see the crew somewhere around. You can ask. We are all more than capable of telling you which way to go, where's your master station, what you should do. So just please don't panic in these situations. Chances are not panicking might actually save your life. I know it's easier said than done, but trust me, it really really helps. And one more thing, crew does this all the time. So even though like there's some new crew members when it happens that will panic just like anyone else, but majority of crew on board is experienced, so they know what to do. And yeah, I mean, the ship just does not like sink like that. It takes time. So yeah, you should be okay in today's day and age.
It looks like it's going to get easier. You might be doing it on your phone or on a stateroom TV, so just do it. Do it. That's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Have you heard of any weird rules on cruise lines? Please let us know about them in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out.
The link will be in the description.
To all of our amazing patrons.
If you like the video,
you guys
please
are
click
incredible and keep our channel running through all of these
subscribe
difficult
and
times.
like. I know I will. So thank you for watching.
Footage and episodes.
And yeah, if you like this, let me know in the comments if you have a video like this about cruise ships that I can maybe comment on as a crew member. I'll be more than happy to do so. Keep in mind it should be up to like 10 minutes or so, because this gets longer when I watch it and pause it. Yeah, with that said, thank you for watching it. Enjoy the rest of your day and take care. Bye bye.